Okay, it's 12 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Welcome everyone. If you please stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Lasker.
Here.
Nemecheck.
Here.
Conklin.
Here.
Moody.
Aye.
Decameron.
Here.
Former.
Okay, moving on, the consent agenda. The purpose of the consent agenda is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with by one commission motion without discussion. Any member of the commission, staff, or the public may ask that any item or items on the consent agenda be removed and placed as the last item under new business to receive full discussion. Such requests will be automatically respected. We have two items: the City Commission short-term rental meeting minutes of May 5th and the May 10th City Commission regular minutes. Anyone in the public or the commission have a question or withdraw? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Jessica, roll call, please.
Moody.
Aye.
Decameron.
Aye.
Lasker.
Aye.
Nemecheck.
Aye.
Conklin.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay, moving on to citizens' comments on non-agenda items. This will be for non-agenda items. Please go to the podium and state your name and address. You're limited to 5 minutes. And if you raise questions, we'll try to answer them, but if not, we'll try to get an answer to you before the next meeting.
My name is Ed Jay. I live at 530 Manny Lane, which is part of the Parkside subdivision. We have an HOA there, so I'm just a representative of the group. We had a meeting a couple weeks ago, and as a group, we had some concerns in our area, which range from Bogle Street, lack of sidewalks, speeding, to the Box Run development area with water issues and noise, just some other things. We have a number of members here from the community that will probably get up and speak about their specific concerns, but I know I got off the letter yesterday, and hopefully you all have a copy of it, which addressed some of our concerns. It was addressed by Eric Hart up here, very thorough. So we wanted to, start from the beginning. So hopefully I kind of to read through that. One of the big concerns is the you're going to hear a lot about is the Box Run development. There was an article attached from the Petoskey News Review dated 21 July 2020, which basically said that the Boyne City Commission Planning Board they turned down the request for rezoning for that area. The question I have, and I think others have, is how did it get approved if it was turned down? So that's one open question. The other issues of it are no sidewalks going from Jefferson and Bogle all the way up to Bogle Street. We have a lot of elderly people who live at the Brook nursing home there. And they do a lot of walking, and they have to take side streets because literally there's no sidewalks. And problem we have is the speeders on that street. I know the police can't monitor that all the time, but it's a 25-mile-an-hour speed zone, and it's gone crazy. A lot of kids in the neighborhood, they put little kid signs out there. Doesn't seem to affect the speeders. So hopefully we can get some issues resolved with that. Again, I'm not going to go do every item, because there's other people that want to speak on it, I want to fill my time, but, I'm gonna hopefully, stepping out downstairs, introduce Pat Little, who's our school superintendent, and he can go over the concerns that they have, since they're the primarily, the biggest, I guess, homeowner in our area, since they have multiple lots there, and we'll be building multiple homes in that area.
Mr. Frenchie, would you like the question answered about the rezoning?
Yes,
Scott, could you answer that particular question?
Sure. The planning commission is a recommending body to the city commission in regards to rezoning requests. The city commission ultimately has the final approval authority over that. And that's what happened. The planning commission did not recommend, and they came to the city commission, and then they approved it.
and the only, again, I just moved back to the area and walked over there, so. The only feedback I got was, apparently there was a member who was on both committees. The planning committee and the other committee that approved it. I think the concern about a conflict of interest was raised about that. Having a member be on both boards.
Well, the city charter does allow that, to have a member of the city commission,
That makes
by
sense.
have one of the city commissioners serve on the planning commission.
Okay.
So,
I'm just, yeah, from
yeah, well,
other communities.
sure.
I have no further.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, Pat Little, Superintendent of Boyne City Schools. The district has an interest in what's happening with the Fox Run development. And I did email Scott and Mike some questions about water runoff concerns that are possibly impacting the entire Parkside development. We are unsure whether those were seasonal, but one of the things that I think the city can do to assist the Parkside homeowner association in the district is possibly facilitating a conversation with the current owners of that property and maybe members of the association to get a better understanding of what some of the long-term plans are. I found it difficult to find user-friendly schematics of what that development is going to look like. I found some on the Great Lakes, Northern Lakes Alliance webpage, and I found Scott sent me some that were incredibly detailed for a layperson like myself. So Scott, I appreciate that. It was a little over my head though. But I think there could be some communication there about concerns of water, groundwater effects, and things like that. To clarify, one of the properties on 401 Maddie Lane that is currently under contract did have a little bit of dampness in the basement this year. It's been clarified, there's no dampness anymore. A lot of the water surrounding some of the other properties is standing in that area. That was not the case a year ago. And so that is sort of the evidence we would have for our concern about what's going on. So again, I think some communication between the current owner or their representatives would be very helpful to us to either deal with our concerns or help us move forward, clarifying this.
Thank you, Pat. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Eric Hartlock at 526 Jefferson Street, Boyne, and I'm also a member of the Parkside HOA. Adam pretty much covered most of the high points and then Patrick as well. And so I just want to make sure, I made copies of the letter. I just want to make sure you each got it. And so
It was emailed.
I received a letter with 4 pages, the last page.
Is that the letter you're referencing?
1.5 cents.
Yeah.
Okay. And did you get one, Mr. Kane?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, great. Then, because I don't really think I need to go through it. They pretty much covered it. So,
It was a 3-page communication.
Anyone else?
go ahead.
Hello, my name is Cindy Paget. I live at 611 Maddie Lane. I am concerned about the Fox Run too, some of the things. they, one of the things is just recently, I have grandchildren and pets, and I'm concerned about the safety because as they're doing the construction, they have come right up to the pin on my property. One of them, and a lot of my trees, there's roots out, but there's a big ditch culvert filled with water. I had a grandson that was out at my house, and if he had fallen down there, he could have been killed or, so I'm concerned that when they do things like that, and they leave big safety issues, that they're not putting up some kind of tape or warning or something. But people from the brook walk kind of back in those woods too, and anyone could have fallen in there, and none of that. My second thing is, I would like to know is if there is a noise nuisance ordinance. From the past 18 months, it's been before 7 o'clock in the morning, the beep, 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 the lights, and even last year, the burning into all hours of the night, and the equipment. Yesterday, they left at, it was after 7 back there, so the constant noise back there. They have tried to mitigate the dust because the heavy equipment, I mean, once they started leveling it, I mean, they would speed up and down and then cause all the dust, which someone in my house has COPD and all the health issues. Last year, it was all the smoke issues and stuff like that. So with me being right there, and I think about the brook too, between all the dust and the smoke and everything going on. But the constant noise, I'd like to know if there's a reasonable time that they can start and end on a daily basis, because it's been nothing but, and the equipment, so much equipment back there. I mean, at my house and I know my neighbors, it's just totally rattles all the time. I mean, I understand construction going on, but I did see one of the original plans that they also showed a pickleball court. I can hear the pickleball court at Rotary Park from my house already. So that's going to be a big concern if they put a pickleball court right there for all those houses along there. I know a lot of cities are grappling with that noise nuisance, but that would be, so I'm just wondering if Boyne City has a noise nuisance ordinance that, that can be controlled on that. I know they're supposed to make a berm, but I agree with Mr. I would like to know exactly what's going on back there, what they're doing. Something happened in the back because they put in the pipes, they dug up the pipes, they put in the pipes and they dug it up. So every day I watch, and again, it feels like they're right in my house, my back door. But the biggest thing was the safety, the noise, the working hours, things like that.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good afternoon, I'm Dennis Jason, and my wife and I live at the corner of Jefferson and Bogle. And I'm concerned about the runoff from the new development and the ditching and the existing storm sewer on Jefferson is large enough to handle the overflow that comes currently, and I can see in the future a lot more overflow coming down Jefferson Street because the retention pond won't be big enough to handle all the runoff. And so I'm concerned whether the ditching and correlated storm sewer on Jefferson is big enough to take care of it. I also am concerned about the additional traffic that will be generated from the development and the condition of Jefferson Street is poor to begin with, and it's going to get worse in the future. Very near future. And also that there's no reason in my mind why the area colonies cannot be paved. I know that the city gets, I think it's about 200,000 a year from the county milling, road millage. And that road millage, as I remember it, was for construction, reconstruction of roads. And I'm curious to know whether when the county gave the city the 1 mil of revenues, whether that 1 mil was reduced in the city millage, or was it just additional income that the city has used? And therefore, they should be using it for construction instead of operations. And so those are my questions, whether those are in fact accurate or not. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good afternoon. I'm Dave Grayson. I live at 400 Silver Street. I was out of town, but unfortunately, I did not get to share my results of my Boyne City SWAT before all this recent news of the marina transpired. And I'm only going by meeting minutes of what I've read, so I might have my facts wrong here. I'm not going to go revisit the marina by any means. That's not my purpose, but my understanding is now we're back to like maintaining the marina. And I noticed from the last meeting, my understanding is there was a electrical problem on one of the docks. Actually, the minutes are a little confusing, B and D, whatever that is, whichever dock. And I just wanted to take the opportunity, because the way I read the agenda packet and the material is that now the recommendation by Barb Brooks was to take Alvin Marsh's proposal, it was like a $38,000 in the part in the packet, if the minutes read, was agreed to 11,000, whatever it was. I understand engineering surveys and what has to happen, but I don't know if people understand now that Boyne City is, through Alvin Marsh, is now employing Harley Ellis Devereaux in Detroit for their consulting for this project, which I actually kind of walked yesterday because I didn't know. Now, I don't know if you've ever been to the offices of Harley Ellis Devereaux on Northwestern Highway in Southfield. I have many times. I used to do business with them. And I'm not here to make a critique of them, but you probably, if I were a betting man, I would say you cannot find, well, a handful of consultants in the state are maybe less expensive than Harley Ellis Devereaux. They're one of the kind of premier cream of the crop consulting firms and architectural firms in the Detroit area. So through this relationship, the city of Boyne City, which has an average income, I think, of 39,000. That's 2020 census. I think Ms. Pearl corrected me last time and said it's now up to about 52, is now employing Harley Ellis Devereaux, indirectly, mind you, but to do work, to do consulting work on electrical to a 60-foot dock. And to me, that's just kind of crazy. I mean, they've got a $550 per diem to drive, whatever their crew is, and that's probably already been done, right? They've come up and looked at it. I'm assuming, I don't really know. But I just kind of want to, and I know there was some discussion in the minutes, some commissioners, I don't know if that's what they were questioning. It's hard to tell from the minutes. It's not that they're not well done here. They're very well done, but it's kind of the nature of the beast. But it's kind of makes me think, well, actually, it did make me think. It actually got me on Google. And within an hour and a half radius of Boyne City, there are a dozen electrical engineering firms. You've got Traverse City, you've got Petoskey, you've got Roger City. Those people know a little bit about docks. And you got Mackinac City, St. Ignace, and it just strikes me that maybe this is the time and opportunity for Boyne City, since they're in more of a maintenance mode. I'm assuming, again, I wasn't here, to kind of rethink their relationship with Alvin Marsh. And not to say that they're not a well-respected firm. They are, but they're not, I understand the need for a relationship with a firm like that if you're going to do expansion, if you're looking for some big money grants like we were through where the city was through the EDA grant, if that's the right one, the $3.2 million grant. But I'm just saying, it just seems to me that there are enough people not in the immediate area that have the expertise. You may not even need to go to engineering firm, just a good master electrician might be able to figure it out. I think there was some comment made, and I don't know who made it, that said, well, Alvin Marsh knows our docks. And it's like, you know, these docks aren't that, they're not that unusual, they're not that special. It just seems to me this might be the time that the city kind of says, look, we're smart enough, we're big enough, we can directly contract these services locally or regionally, and maybe save the taxpayers a little bit of money in the ongoing maintenance of this marina. Good?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else?
I'm curious, the last meeting, I asked everybody up on the board, does anybody check on another spot if you give up that spot to the library? You're talking about trying to sell it to help out with the library, but there's, where are you gonna put that other 40 spots? Downtown, they'll make up for that 40 spots. I see it benefiting the library. But if we lose that, that's like, as you guys always put it, you know, we're losing out up to 160 people. That's 4 people per car, per slot of revenue. I'm still trying to figure out how you guys are giving that up. You're trying to help the library out, but where does it help out in the long run when you guys keep saying you need to bring business into town? Where do you want to put 40 parking spots? I asked that question, I didn't get an answer for it. I'm asking it again. Has anybody checked it out? I mean, right off the Main Street, dead off the Main Street, 40 spots. Is there any place around here that's got it? I've been through this town, I don't know, after almost 40 years of living. I don't know if any spots have them. But you guys want to give it up, and I can't figure it out.
Well, yeah, sure. What information, when you're using the terminology, are you saying that we want to give it up? Where are you gathering this information that the city commission is actively trying to give up 40 parking spaces?
When they brought it up from the library, they talked to you guys about adding that parking lot onto their thing.
Because the library came to the city commission.
Right.
Yeah.
But you guys are looking into it, you've already, it was mapped out on the thing, the next day, it was mapped out. And that's, so I mean, you guys didn't say no.
And we said yes.
You didn't say yes or no, because.
Okay. I was just.
I'm sorry, I misphrased that.
Right.
You guys didn't say no to it.
Okay.
I mean, that's 40 spots. And I'm still trying to figure out why you guys want to be willing to give up 40 spots when you complain about, you know, we need to bring more business in. But where are you gonna put the cars? Those 40 spots are already took out. And if the red building gets sold because people thought they could buy that 40 slots, where are you gonna put it? Does it help the library out? Or does it help the city out? That's my question.
I just want to clarify that we didn't say yes to anything. They came and asked if they could, look and see if they can do something there on the library parking lot and giving up the red building and stuff. It's their money. We can't stop them from spending it to look into doing what they want to do. But to Tim's point, there was no yes.
Okay, well, what I'm talking about, the other spot is public. You know, that 40 spot thing. I didn't believe that was the library.
No, it's not, but their plan was to give up the part that they own, which is almost the size of the parking lot, the red building and all its property. So, but no, there was no decision made.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Just to add to that, to Marty and Tim's comments, is that I don't think our intention is to have a net loss of 40-some spots. There'll be a flip-flop, there'll be a reconstruction, there'll be whatever. We value those 40-some lots. All that we agreed to, as was stated, was that this is 2, 3, 4 years out. This is a invitation for firms to design something that might work out for both of us. There is no intention of us to give up 40-some lots.
Cindy?
Steve Richard 526 East End. I understand your confusion, Steve. Yes, it was merely a request for proposals to be floated, and I made the remark that it costs money to ask a question, and it would be a shame to entertain that without a plan. Yes, there might be space for other, or spaces that would come behind any potential structure. No, the city commission didn't approve it, they just gave permission to issue the RFPs. Got a variety of things I want to cover. One kind of touches on some of the comments made here, and that has to do with the minutes, the meeting minutes. It wasn't clear about the proposal for engineering services. It sounded as though it was supposedly for 11K. The actual proposal was for 38.8. So there's no mention of that, and they kind of soft pedaled the real situation there, which is a potential hazard, when in fact the county said shut it down last fall. I find it noteworthy, however, that there is nothing on the agenda about this burning issue with regard to Dock E, to hear what the results were of that emergency expenditure of $11,000. I'd also point out that I sometimes feel very badly for the commissioners in that they ask questions and some of the answers they receive are not accurate. The specific question that George asked last time was, in the 38.8 was $38,800, were engineering drawings included? The answer that he was given was yes, there are. And the fact of the matter is that is not the case. The proposal was very clear. It was simply a survey, no drawings. In fact, if the city didn't have any electrical drawings, they were going to have to create them, and it was going to be $215 an hour. That doesn't serve the community well. If you guys can't get straight answers because you rely on the staff to give you straight answers. The budget line item statement. We went through the budget of Marina. It was very specific discussion. Specifically, Tim pressed hard about why we only have $25,000 in the budget for repairs and maintenance. And at the last meeting, the reason given that there wasn't any other monies put in was because there wasn't a line item. For God's sake, you have a repairs and maintenance bucket in your accounting process. It's absurd to me that there isn't actual numbers put in there for the lack of a line item. Parking, there are inaccurate statements being made about situations. They said in the minutes that there were only a shortfall of 13 spaces for lofts. Truth of the matter is, our ordinance says 114 spaces. So in fact, the shortfall is 45. And Marty made the comment some months ago, I think it was when Country Now and Then was looking for a variance for not allowing or providing 2 parking spaces, that they could use the Foxman lot. He made the point that nobody's keeping track of the pluses and minuses. So it's important. It's really, really important because that gets lost. It's not just 13 spaces for lots that are missing. We've allowed a variance for 45 spaces. Sidewalks. I'm glad people brought that up. We put it in the city goals that we wanted it to be a walking community. I thought it was kind of interesting when Great Lakes came to us last week or like 2 weeks ago and asked for permission to change the drive. And Tom raised the question of, hey, you know, what about sidewalks? You know, I think it was maybe at the planning commission, I'm sorry. It was at the planning commission. And the Great Lakes guy stood up and said, oh, well, that's $50,000. My God, I'm sorry. To me, it should be in the ordinance, I guess, that anything that's developed should have a sidewalk in front of it. So it could at least get us to a place to be a walking community. And I was thinking about, you talked about consumers' power, Mr. Kane, having community revitalization grants. How ironic it would be if we applied to consumers' power for the $50,000 to put the sidewalk down towards St. Matt's and on towards the school. Stigs. You spent over an hour on that. I'm going to object to the process. There was an initial vote, and it says it was very clear to approve the request.
Your time is up here.
It was denied, and you let it go through a second time, and the verbiage wasn't any different. To me, that's a travesty of the process. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, if we could go back to Fox Run, there was a request, Scott, to organize a meeting with the homeowners association. Is that something the city could take a lead on?
Yeah, I anticipate meeting with the engineer on site tomorrow to go over some of the stormwater issues. I'm going to address some of the issues I heard today with them, and I also will request facilitation of a meeting with the homeowners association. If there's a contact person, just give me your name, and I'll try to arrange that, and hopefully we can get that done the next week or so.
Is there any other follow-up you want to provide with the concerns that were raised? Or would you rather wait until after a meeting?
I'd like to talk to the engineer and see exactly, you know, his assessment, what's going on. And then the other concerns, you know, I relate to them about, you know, the trenches, open trenches, and the need for, you know, barriers or warning devices in that regard. I'll emphasize the noise ordinance and hours of operation, and dust control, and those other issues with them.
Mr. Fouché, will that be sufficient for you today?
Perfect.
Commissioner, do you have any comment about any public comment before we move on?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I think it might be helpful, Mike or Jessica, on the, I don't remember which meeting it was where the red building was discussed with the library. It was too many months ago. And there was a drawing put up on what was proposed as being for sale next to the library. And I think it might be helpful maybe to post that again on our website, showing what the preliminary idea was as far as selling the red building and how the parking lot would look after that. I'm not sure how detailed the drawing was, but if I remember right, the part that was only about for sale, it was just the red building.
The RFP, if I can address that.
Sure.
My recollection, and we'd be glad to pull up the drawing that were presented. But my recollection is that the RFP was basically to seek out if there's any proposals from potential developers to redevelop both the red building property and potentially the city parking lot as well too. And come to us with any concepts as to if they were interested in doing something, what it could look like. And that would basically, potentially show building plans or layouts, how they would propose to deal with parking and things of that nature. So I think all the properties that were being discussed were the existing public parking lot behind the library, and then the adjacent property immediately to the east of that, that we call the red building property that the library owns. So basically it's saying, okay, here are these two potential properties that might be available if you can come up with a plan that, meets everybody's interest. So my recollection is what the commission would just said, yes, we go out and seek proposals, see what information comes back, and we go from there, or not go from there. So, but I thought it included both full parcels there. Okay.
And just to clarify, the city paid 0 cents or dollars on the RFP, right?
Correct. Directly. Steve Schnell is working on that process. We partially pay his salary.
But that's not in relation to the project.
No, we would pay that salary anyway.
So just
There's
in
no
some
additional cost.
that the city's paying money to have these design drafts.
No. Any proposals that would come up would be provided by potential developers if there's anybody that expresses any interest in going forward with it. And we put it out there for a couple months, and we haven't had any inquiries at this point.
Anybody else? Okay, let's move on then.
Excuse me, I'm not gonna get an answer to the, what happened.
No, you're not. We'll try to provide an answer before our next meeting.
No, thanks.
Moving on, we have correspondence. We have one item, or excuse me, two items, state of Michigan before the Michigan Public Service Commission notice hearing for electrical customers of Consumers Energy Company, case number U-21224. And we have a letter from Jennifer Hughes regarding the library city parking lot RFP. So. Letter. All right, we can move to city manager's report. But before we get into that, Mike is back here. Pat, if you could come up, please. Pat Beaver is one of our city employees who has announced her retirement. And we have a certificate of recognition for you. Presented to Pat Beaver, front desk clerk and planning assistant, for providing professional service to the Boyne City community and its citizens. For 15 years, you've helped keep us organized by maintaining official city records and providing support to most departments within the city, assisting with many tasks, including planning and zoning support, public works and water, wastewater with staking and misdigs, parks and recreation scheduling, invoice filing, processing absentee ballots, and marina records and billing. Most notable, we were instrumental in getting the community garden up and running. So successfully that in a couple of years, it had to be expanded and organized the city, and we also organized the city's tree seedling giveaway. Your attention to detail and service to the citizens and staff alike has been immeasurable. Congratulations on your retirement, and on behalf of the citizens of Boyne City, we thank you for your 15 years of service and all you have done, and we wish you well. Presented on the 24th day of May, 2022.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. I've made a lot of really long-lasting friendships that I'm going to miss. I'm going to miss the people. Every day has been different. It's never a stale day. You don't have the same people coming in. So it's been fun, and I've had a good time. Thank you very much for allowing me to stay. Thank you very much for hiring me.
Yeah, just to follow on that for a sec, I mean, Pat's professionalism and expertise, she came to us from the county, the regional 911 authority, where she was a dispatcher up there. She's able to take tense situations, calm them down, get to the heart of an issue, and work it through and address the issue that needs to be addressed. She's been a very stable and firm voice in our organization. She knows what's what. She can find whenever we're looking for something, and she's going to be greatly missed. A lot of her pet projects, like the community garden that she's really taken under her wings, or our Tree City Awards that we've gotten all these years, the tree planting programs, the seedling giveaways, have all really benefited from her love and attention over these years. So thank you, Pat. I wish you well and fun with your family. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay, on to my manager's report, unless somebody else wants to say anything else. The marine electrical system evaluation took place on site on Thursday, May 12th. Barbara's going over the findings with Avonmarsh to determine recommendations for next steps. The marina did open for the season on Sunday the 15th and is operating fairly normally, despite the lack of power on D-Dock. Persons with marina reservations have been notified by email through our reservation system, of the state's reservation system, that there is no power on DDOT and that voters in slips 1 and 6 through 10 will need to be relocated if they want power. People, for the most part, have taken the news pretty well and appear to be willing to maintain their visits and work through the issues. We are still looking at possible dates for a city commission work session to begin discussions on the future of the marina. And one of the dates I wanted to toss out there for the commission's consideration is a possibility of Thursday, June 9th. And if we want to talk about possible dates later in the meeting, maybe we can take a time to do that. Normally that Thursday wouldn't be open, but we're looking at relocating the park board meeting date, so it would open it up as a possibility for that day. In light of Friday's tornado in Gaylord, I have again reached out to Charlevoix County's emergency management coordinator regarding ways to communicate with the public about approaching severe weather. Around the beginning of this year, CCE 911, the dispatch center, stopped using the radio system that activated our siren for fires and weather events. We have not been able to find a suitable replacement up to this point. The county currently uses the B Alert system that people can sign up for emergency alerts of various types. They also recommend that people purchase and use a weather radio that can pick up messages directly from the weather service. I have heard from the county's emergency management coordinator, Sienna Wentz. She talked about and was kind of comparing some of the comments I made about the system that they were using in Otsego County. I think we've heard about this code red system that they have, and it has the ability to basically anybody that has a cell phone, if there is an emergency coming, without having to sign up for something, they can push a message directly out to that. And that feature apparently was very helpful for the people in Otsego County. And Sienna, in her communication with me today, she sent me an email shortly before this commission meeting, said that the B Alert system has that type of capability through a module that they call iPause. So that if a tornado was coming here and they had an alert on that they thought it was going to hit Boyne City, they could basically target the Boyne City area using iPause and send out messages directly to people's cell phones, through emails, and also through landlines. So I felt good to hear that, and they're still checking into various options to see the way to improve it. I am a signer up, or have signed up for the B Alert system. You have to go through the county's website to do that. And I got several messages that day that are targeted to the areas that I signed up for. So you can get that if you'd like, and there's no charge for that. Background checks and a second interview had been conducted with our lead DPW director candidate. I had hoped I'd be able to bring a recommendation and have that finalized for this meeting, but I took some additional steps and was doing some additional research, and I hope to have that recommendation for our next meeting. We do have interviews that we're setting up for candidates for the EMS director position, and those are being scheduled to take place on the week of June 6th. Northern Michigan Dust Control is scheduled to apply our dust control to our usual gravel streets, alleys, and the drives in the cemetery this Friday, weather permitting. There's some rain that's scheduled on Wednesday and Thursday this week, and as long as that isn't, as long as things aren't too wet, they'll go forward with that. If the rain hit at the wrong times, we may have to push that back a little bit. The regular program of 2 applications per year is expected to cost us about $1,800 more than it did last year. A reminder that we will be closed on Monday for Memorial Day. Right after Memorial Day on Tuesday the 31st, work will begin on the Lincoln Street reconstruction project between South Lake and Grand Streets. That work will continue through August, and Lincoln Street will be closed to through traffic during the project. There will also be temporary detours involving streets like South Lake Street and several others that are connected to Lincoln throughout the project. Plans are available downstairs here at City Hall if people would like to review them. I will be out of the office beginning this Thursday until Monday, June 6th. Charlevoix County has scheduled their first household hazardous waste event of the year to take place this June 10th and 11th. It's usually held at the county road facility out on the other side of the Ironton Ferry. They usually have their fall one here at the local road commission garage. But if people have things like batteries or TVs or various appliances, mainly a lot of electrical stuff that our rubbish collection doesn't pick up, they can take it to those sites as well. People can sign up for that on the county's website. Related to that, we did have the first of our 2 rubbish collections on Saturday, and that's going fairly well. The Boyne Area Community Center, which used to own the building right across the street, the old Masonic Lodge, they sold that to a local church. They have some revenues that they've received because of that. They'd like to basically give that to the community in the form of a splash pad. And they've been having discussions with the Park and Recreation Board about possible locations, and the groups are seriously talking about possible location over at Minnesota Beach Park. The Park Board hopes to have a recommendation that the City Commission could consider at our June 14th meeting. A reminder that our next short-term rental meeting has been scheduled for Tuesday, June 21st, and that'll be here in this room. So, if you have any questions on these or additional items, I'd be glad to try and address them.
One follow-up to this. So you have to sign up for the Be Alert?
Yes. You have to sign up for it, but with that iPause module, even if you didn't sign up for it, if they saw something drastic happening, apparently that has the ability just to broadcast out to anybody's cell phone, landline, or email address.
So they already have it, so you don't have to sign.
Not for the iPause component.
Got it.
But if you want additional alerts, like on traffic situations, or like the ones I was getting was for a thunderstorm warning on Friday. I got various alerts on that, things were coming out. I did communicate with Sienna and shared with some of the commissioners and with our department heads. She was sending regular updates throughout the day to us, so I could share those with our department heads and things of that nature, so we could all kind of be on alert of that. So there was a lot of things that she seems to be doing a very good job. Just want to make sure that that's clear.
Yeah, I was only gonna ask, is that Be Alert, well, I got 3 questions. Is the Be Alert system, is any information on that on our city website? Or could we have our social media contractor just send out a link, letting people know?
I think it's a real good idea. I want to get the latest from Sienna and then possibly push that out through our social media and or the website. I was thinking more through Facebook, but the website would be a good place as well too.
Okay. And then for the dust control, the $1,800 increase, did they say what that increase was related to? Was it fuel?
They basically said the price was up 7 cents per gallon on the dust control items that we put down, and we put out about 12,800 gallons per application of that material. So, and I was checking to see if there were alternate vendors that could provide that service. Reached out to other communities around us and really wasn't finding anybody else that did that.
Okay.
So I think they're still working on pricing with the city of East Jordan right now, based on communications I had with them.
Okay. And then with the Boyne Area Community Center, there was discussions that are continuing at the Recreation Commission's meetings. When that comes to us, me personally, I would really like to see an increased expense projection. What if, because I know we're gonna, from the ideas and the conversations I've been privy to, is essentially a donation is gonna be contributed to get the startup and the beginning process, but trying to understand what that expense projection is gonna look like for the city, and having Mark on that conversation as far as the capacity and the wastewater that's gonna be created with that project as well. When that comes to us as a city commission, I guess.
Sure.
So that's all I have.
Thank you. Okay, moving on, we can, item 7, reports of officers, boards, and standing committees. We have none. 8, old business. We have no old business. Under new business, we have log cabin use request. Consider the recommendation from the Heritage Center to approve the request to use a log cabin located at Water and Lake Streets during the 2022 summer season at no charge. Are you going to take that, Mike?
I'm going to try and do it, and I'm working for my screen share.
Anyone here from the Heritage Center?
They did indicate that they might have some people present. Well, I'm not finding my memo, so I'm just gonna have to wait. We received a request from the Heritage Center group. Sure. Thank you. From the Heritage Center Board to use our log cabin building downtown at Water and Lake Street intersection over the summer to sell books and increase visibility and attract donations for their efforts. They anticipate using the buildings primarily on Stroll the Streets Fridays. The building has been pretty much vacant since the Chamber of Commerce moved out several years ago, except for use as Santa's house during previous pre-COVID times. The building is pretty much in the same condition as it was when the Chamber of Commerce left. It still does have its electrical power on, but we've turned off the water for a couple of years. The Heritage Center has indicated it does not need the water turned on for its purposes, although I don't see there's any reason that we couldn't. It would just have to be winterized again at the end of the season if we did turn it on. The building does remain fully insured, just like any other city building does. The Heritage Center is an IRS-approved nonprofit organization, and they're seeking to preserve and share the Boyne area's history with others. They recently gave the City Commission an update on their activity and have recently held several events to advance their goals, including finishing the space downstairs here in the City Hall. This would be one additional such activity to further those efforts. I expect there would be very little cost to the city involved in allowing them to use the building. They would be responsible for normal keeping and returning the building in as good or better condition to which they found it. And I would recommend that we not charge them for the use of the building. So my recommendation is that the City Commission approve the Heritage Center's request to use our log cabin downtown at the Water and Lake Street intersection during the 2022 summer season at no charge. I would mention that one of their representatives did go down with me. I opened up the building so she could check it out. She was very pleased with what she saw in there as well too. So,
Okay, thank you, Mike. Any comment from the public on cabin? Not, we can move to commissioners. Tom, you want to start?
Sure. I'm in full support. I think it makes sense. They with the sidewalk appeal that they're looking for. We're utilizing an empty building and win-win situation. And I support it. With also no charge.
Sure.
Absolutely. I think it's wonderful. Helps raise money for our, and give people more awareness of the neat history that Boyne City has, and tourists I know are a lot of times interested in that, and also local people. So are they gonna staff that, Mike, you know, with volunteers?
my understanding is that they would have it open with people in it during like Stroll the Street, so people could wander in. They could talk to them about the Heritage Center, their activities. I'm not sure if they're going to have some displays down there. I would just kind of think that they would, but they haven't told me the exact layout at this point.
Yeah, I really don't have a problem with it. It's a cool building and love to have it used. And it's only gonna help keep the building in better shape than we use. I think it's awesome.
I'm in full support. I think the building being utilized is better than a building sitting empty. The only thing that I would say, in regards to this memo specifically, whenever I see things like this, one thing that I'm lacking is potentially a usage agreement. I'm sure, is there gonna be a usage agreement, or is it just gonna be city commission approved it?
I was thinking that it was just going to be city commission approved.
Okay.
We've had a I mean, we have, this is a group that we work with on a regular basis anyway. Ultimately, when we get to a formal stage, when they're with the downstairs space, that I would think, which is a long-term relationship, I think that we'll want to have a usage agreement that specifically spells this out. I didn't see the need for it here. With regards to it.
Okay.
Do we have a usage agreement with people using the other park facilities?
We just have like a sign-up sheet that people have with regards to it.
Like gives them restrictions and.
Yeah, I mean, we could have them fill out one of those if we wanted to.
Well, I just asked Steve.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I fully support this as well. So I entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the recommendation from the Heritage Center to use the log cabin located at Water and Lake Streets during the 2022 summer season at no charge.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second? George, second. Is there any other discussion? If not, Jessica, roll call, please.
Needhammer.
I,
Laster.
Aye.
Nemecheck.
Aye.
Conklin.
Aye.
Moody.
I,
Motion carried.
All right, thank you. All right, under new business, we have item B, water production well number 2 replacement. Consider the recommendation from Water Wastewater Superintendent Mark Fowler to approve the city manager to sign the purchase order to have Peerless Midwest install the new well number 2 for an amount not to exceed $116,500. Mark?
Well, too, we've been having issues with it for the last couple of years. It's our oldest well, and the system was put in 1970, so it's just over 50 years old. And we had it cleaned and it was working. When they took the scale off, you could see the screen was, had some missing, and rusted away. So it was bringing in sand. So we had another screen installed inside that one, a finer screen. And, but then it's just been getting more and more fine sand into it. And when it did, it pumped out some sand, got caught in the check valve when the pump shut off. So when it closed all the way, and when that did, it allowed the water to go back in to the well, and then disrupted the sand even more in there. So we had it inspected again. It was about 2/3 full of sand. And so we took it out of service last fall. We have enough capacity without it, but I think we should have it replaced because well 3 on the south side is the second oldest. That one was put in 1983. So this would be a redundancy in case anything happened to well 3, but we do have plenty of capacity. Got a couple of quotes there, one from Peerless Midwest, one from Ranger. It was about $5,000 difference. And the difference there would be with Peerless, they will get all the permits from the DEQ and the engineering stuff. And if they didn't do that, it wasn't included, then we'd have to hire C280 to do all that stuff for us anyways. So I thought I'd better just go with a one-stop shop there and get that done. There will be some additional costs once the well is installed. Once it does get approved, if it does get approved, it will be 4 to 5 months before they can even start work on the well, just based on the scheduling that they're at right now. But once it is installed, we'll need some electrical work to run the wiring because it's going to be about 20 feet from where the well house is right now, because there's not enough room inside to put it in the well building itself. So it'll be about 20 to 30 feet away. So we'll have to run the wiring from the control panel in the building up to the wellhead, and then run the piping from the wellhead into the building. And then put an additional fence, expand the fence that's already around wells too, just expand it around so it covers the wellhead. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. I did put it in the budget for this year, budget about $120,000. And because when I checked in December, preparing for the budget for this year, it looked like it was coming in about 100,000, but of course prices keep going up. And right now, it's 116. So I'm glad to answer any questions.
All right, Wayne, let's take this there for a second. Mark,
Yes, sir.
let's see if anybody does have questions for you. Any questions for Mark from the public? Okay, commissioners, let's start with George.
Mark, do you have any idea how much C280 would charges for the engineering part that Peerless is going to do with the 5,500? I don't. I'm guessing it's probably 2,000 to 3,000 because they have to do all the engineering and permitting and stuff. So yeah, it would probably be maybe 1,000 or 2 cheaper if we want a C280. I don't know for sure.
Anything else, Mark?
No, sir.
Marty?
So my question, Mark, was, so what
what of the, I'll call them Band-Aids for any other word, what have those cost over the last couple of years?
We probably spent, probably, 60,000 having a new screen put in and having them come and pull the pump and check in everything. The pump, we're hoping to still use the same pump that we pull out of there and do well.
Second question, I guess I would be a little bit concerned with Jordan's question. I mean, if it's only gonna be, if it was gonna be a couple $1,000 difference, I guess I would like to say a couple $1,000. My next question is gonna be probably more directed at Mike. So if we're gonna vote and we're gonna do this, if that's how the vote shakes out, then we should be able to take some of our $300,000 in infrastructure money and spend it on this, I would believe. Correct? And then,
I think you are correct. I'd have to double check on that, Martin, to be sure. We have budgeted this out of the water fund, but that is a possible alternate use that we could, alternate source of money we could come up with.
yeah, I'd rather spend the government's money than our money.
So in this memo here, you said that there's gonna be additional costs, so there's additional costs after this new well put in, so you budgeted 120.
Yeah.
This is gonna be 116.5.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be a little over that, but I just haven't been able to, I contacted the electrical contractor and the mechanical contractor, but I've not heard anything back from them.
Okay,
As far as coming to look at it, and back there, give me a quote, because everybody's so busy.
okay, so within the timeline, do you expect you're gonna be good with that budgeted figure of 120 at the end of this?
I'm guessing it's probably gonna be a little bit higher than that. I don't know how much, but I would assume it's gonna be a little higher.
Huh?
Yeah, I'm in full support. I think Marty brings up a good point. That if we use some of that money that's appropriated for us to decide how to use it, that would be a good use, but, I'm in full support of going forward.
Yeah, I full support the recommendation from Mark too, so I do take a motion.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
So what was done, you're right now, the well cannot be used.
That's right, it's out of service.
Okay.
It's been out of service, yeah, since the fall.
And $60,000 is Band-Aids, again, okay.
So I entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that the commission authorize the city manager to sign the purchase order to have Peerless Midwest install the new well number 2 for $1,116,500.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Further discussion?
Mayor?
Yes.
I should point out that, kind of in response to Marty's questions or comments with regards to the repairs we've done previously on this well. Yeah, this is very disappointing that we put this much money in and we didn't get the results we wanted. We have done similar types of repairs or maintenance on other wells and been able to bring them back to basically full production and get another decade or two out of them. This one, it seemed like, we fixed one thing and then we kept having more and more problems. And rather than continuing to pour money down a hole as we have been, unfortunately, it seemed like it was time to move on to something different because we just weren't getting the results we wanted with the repairs. And unfortunately, it cost us this time.
Jessica, I think we're ready for a vote.
Lassiter.
Aye.
Nemecheck.
Aye.
Conklin.
Aye.
Moody. Deacon.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to good of the order. There was one item like you brought up in the city manager report about trying to set a date for our marina meeting, being June 9th, I think you said.
That was the first date that was available for that. The second date that worked out for Barb as well would be, we wanted to kind of double act on our second Tuesday meeting in June either as an evening meeting or a continuation of after our regular meeting. And I think that date, I can bring that up here. I think that was the 28th, but I have to look real quick. So, yeah, it is the 28th. That was open as well too. So those are her preferred dates, either, again, Tuesday, June 9th, or Thursday, June 9th, excuse me, or Tuesday, June 28th. I don't know if either of those are good to the commissioners, or if they would want some additional time to consider that and get back to us.
Tuesday works better.
Tuesday works better for me as well, the 28th.
Which time are we talking about?
The time would be up to the city commission. I was thinking probably like a 5:30, 6 o'clock time. I mean, unless you want, I thought we might want to start that one a little bit earlier, but you know, we have whatever time works for the city commission. If you want to do it at 7 p.m., that's fine too.
5:30 work for me.
Yeah. Both dates work for me, but in the sense of urgency, I'd rather go earlier.
I will be out of town on that. So
Tim will be out of town, so if it looks like June 28th at 5:30 works for everyone.
Is that Tuesday also?
It is a Tuesday.
It's either Thursday the 9th or Tuesday the 28th, or the 2 days that we're talking about right now. What I'm hearing is Thursday the 28th at 5:30.
I have to check on that, on the 28th. By the time I get held over till 7 o'clock on Wednesdays and Thursdays.
That's a Tuesday.
Oh, it is Tuesday.
Yeah, I think I misspoke.
That should be good.
Tuesday, the 28th at 5:30.
5:30. Okay, any other items?
Mr. Mayor, yes, I had one. So Friday, I received a phone call from a lady here in town, within the pavilion for a gymnastics banquet, and it was filthy. She was really disappointed. And then she wrote me a letter. She actually drove all the way to East Jordan and dropped this letter off for me. And she understood, you know, that the carnival was just here. But she said people were commenting how dirty it was and nasty. Food on the wall, wet toweling and thrown on the heating ductwork. Floor was a mess. Food left on the table, that take garbage removed, but nothing clean. She was very disappointed and wanted, obviously, made a strong point that we need to take better care of this beautiful building. And I know there's some understanding when you rent, you know, you're required to clean it or put a deposit down and clean it and whatnot. She just was very disappointed, wanted us to all be aware of that. And I can give this letter to Jessica, maybe give it to everybody. But she also had concerns about, you know, one reason why it may be so dirty is because there's no way to, the building is wide open, basically, people can just go in any hours of the time, day or night, and do whatever they want to in there. And, you know, that may be the reason why it was so dirty. But she was also asking if there was a way that that could be locked off or blocked off or put a door or something in there to keep that from happening in the future. At least so people don't have to run the building.
Only thing I got is the Boyne Area Chamber of Commerce has a new visitor guide. You can pick it up at local businesses or down there at the Boyne Area Chamber.
Okay, any other items? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
A second.
Second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you very much.